Welcome to the GameRamble video review for Psychopaths Mandatory Happiness, narrated by me, Darkcloud. As always, the full text version of this review can be found on the GameRamble website linked below. The TLDR is that Psychopaths Mandatory Happiness is based on the popular anime series of the same name, but this engaging visual novel isn't afraid to carve out its own path. It features a very memorable setting, interesting characters and plenty of content to explore. The story is a little darker than most visual novels on Steam, which is a good thing, and familiarity with the anime series isn't required to enjoy this title. Any fans of the genre looking for something that will keep them busy for a while should definitely add Psychopaths to their collection. Gameplay receives a 9 out of 10. The game features an engaging storyline, 2 protagonists and many different endings. Graphics receives a 9 out of 10. The visuals consist of great character designs and backgrounds, but not much in the way of animations. Sound receives a 9 out of 10. Players can expect full voice acting for all the characters and some nice background music. The overall score for Psychopaths Mandatory Happiness is 9 out of 10. And now for the full review. For a game with the subtitle Mandatory Happiness, it should probably not come as a surprise that it isn't set in a very happy world. However, happiness is central to the game world and indeed the plot, as everyone is constantly monitored and dire consequences await those who find their moods getting too dark. The Sybil system pretty much runs the show and uses the Psychopaths technology to read the hues of everyone. Those with unfavorable hues can find themselves marked as latent criminals, and things only get worse from there. Of course, someone has to do the dirty job of enforcing the punishments meted out by the system, and this is where the Public Safety Bureau comes into play. Consisting of enforcers and inspectors, it's their responsibility to track down people who are veering too close to unacceptable crime coefficients and take care of them. All of this will probably sound very familiar to those who watched the 2012 anime series of the same name, on which this visual novel is based. Mandatory Happiness was originally released as an Xbox One title in Japan before receiving PlayStation 4 and Vita versions. It took a little while, but PC owners can also experience this great title. The game presents players with 2 different characters to choose from: Inspector Nadashiko Kagatachi and Enforcers Takuma Tsurugi. Neither of them appeared in the anime, but they're both memorable characters with their own inner demons to battle. Nadashiko is an incapable but troubled woman who cannot remember her past, and her personality causes some of her co-workers to liken her more to a droid than a human. Takuma, on the other hand, became a latent criminal when the love of his life disappeared. His future seemed bleak until he was enlisted by the Public Safety Bureau, which makes use of people with high crime coefficients, as they're better able to understand criminals. The duo quickly find themselves up against a mysterious opponent called Alpha, who appears to be hell-bent on spreading happiness amongst the population by any means necessary. As Alpha's actions become increasingly deranged, the Bureau has to pull out all stops to uncover what is really going on, and put an end to the madness before their own use are irrevocably tainted. As far as storylines go, this one is pretty gripping, and kept us engrossed all the way through. In addition to being able to see the story unfold from different perspectives, depending on who you choose as the protagonist, the game also presents you with a series of choices throughout the story. These choices can make the story branch and ultimately lead to one of the many endings in the game. This adds a lot of replay value to an already lengthy game, so anyone who wants to see everything it has to offer should be prepared to put in some time. Although we weren't familiar with the original anime, we had no trouble following the story in the game. The game uses many unfamiliar terms, but thanks to a handy tip section which serves as a dictionary, you can refresh your memory or check out their meanings at any time. About the only criticism about the story is that it features some overly obvious foreshadowing, but this doesn't detract from the experience too much. We really like that your character's hue plays an essential role in the story, and neglecting to do something to improve it when offered the opportunity can alter how things play out. In terms of visuals, Psychopaths features a resolution of 1920 by 1080, which is quite welcome compared to what we usually get from visual novels. The game can be played in full screen or windowed mode and has some lovely artwork. The characters all look unique and they are in many locations with detailed backgrounds. Unfortunately, there's little in the way of animations apart from blinking and moving mouse, but some great CGs make up for this. There are times when certain scenes could have benefited from accompanying artwork, but unfortunately the budget for the game clearly didn't stretch far enough to allow for this. Interestingly enough, the game has some art, voiceovers and scenes that can be unlocked from the extra menu in the title, but these have to be bought using a currency earned by playing a bonus minigame. The minigame is quite addictive though, so this never felt like a chore. The interface for the game is straightforward enough, but pay attention to the help screen and the config menu to see the keyboard shortcuts, as these are not immediately apparent. All of the characters in Psychopaths are voiced in Japanese, and the overall quality of the audio is very good. The soundtrack is mostly mellow, but a couple of tracks are a bit faster for when the action ramps up. Everything from the background music to sound effects and individual voices can be adjusted separately, which is always a welcome feature in a visual novel. There are a lot of visual novels currently on Steam that deal with whimsical or light-hearted topics, so it's refreshing to play a title with more of an edge. From what we can tell, Psycho-Pass is not quite as dark or disturbing as its anime counterpart though, which is bound to disappoint some fans of the series. However, it's still a very enjoyable title and made a big enough impression on us that we went out to seek the anime to watch. As such, we recommend it to fans of the genre looking for a title with more substance and content than what can usually be found on Steam. Thanks for joining me for this Psycho-Pass Mandatory Happiness PC review. Remember to like, subscribe and share. Until next time.